Doug, I think the most compelling thing for a lot of folks about Odell right now is actually on the business side of things, having gone ESOP a couple of years ago. Can you tell us a little bit about what the thinking behind making that decision was for the future of the brewery?
Sure. Well, we have, for many years now, have tried to foster and encourage a collaborative and inclusive culture where people are encouraged to support each other and to encourage each other and are encouraged to make decisions, take part in team strategy, and help forge the future of our company. And so I think that in large part we achieved that. It's always a work in progress, but we achieved that even before we set up the ESOP. So I think that for some of the reasons that people set up ESOPs, we were already there as far as Coworker involvement.
Wynn presented at Brewbound in San Diego at the last session, and so much of the story of Odell was about that organic sort of sprawling growth that happened over the years. That was sort of there was a lot of instinct behind a lot of those decisions, and it seemed like the ESOP was a very smart continuation of that kind of thinking and approach.
Well, I think it really was just kind of an affirmation of what we already had, and kind of a support of what we already had. And I think one of the cool things that I really liked seeing after we implemented this was that a lot of people in their kind of email byline, the thing underneath their name, they put in co-owner, and so people are very proud of it.
That's great. What were some of the biggest questions that your employees had when they were that process was proposed?
Well, it's so complicated. I mean, it really took us years to understand it, and we still don't entirely. But mostly, it was, what does this mean for me? You have to really set up that what this is a way to bring people together and also kind of a retirement plan. You don't have stock in your hand. You have a stock in a trust that owns the ESOP shares.
Right.
And so it was just pretty much explaining just what this whole thing is and why we think it's going to benefit people.
Now, one of the things that a brewery is always challenged with is maintaining great talent, but also turning over talent that maybe isn't performing at the way you would want to. A little bit of turnover in a business is usually a pretty healthy thing. How do you address some of those things on a team that is now, they are now owners of the brewery in one way or another? How do they hold each other accountable?
Well, I mean, one of the things that we've learned to look for in our interview process is, do people want to be a part of that sort of setup, the collaborative culture, the teamwork, being a team environment? And so we definitely hire better than we used to because we know what we're looking for in that area.
They're becoming a much more substantial part of the business.
Yeah, and so if you get people who are interested in that sort of culture to begin with, then I think it's much easier to maintain and enhance that culture. So, but then the way you keep it going is, like for instance, we probably have 5 or 6 Coworker committees. Like our culture committee that decides on the fun stuff that we do, our charitable giving program where it's really Coworker advised where we help with our donations, and our sustainability committee. So there's a number of things where we actively request that our folks be a part of decision making.
Now, a lot of small businesses, especially in beer these days, have to adapt quickly to change because the market is always changing. How has transforming into an ESOP either helped or challenged your ability to be more nimble and adapt quickly? Is it easier to make decisions? Is it slower to make decisions?
I really haven't seen much change because I think that we do have to work on the administration of the ESOP, and that was a learning curve that's still underway. But as far as trying to maintain interest in it, I think you've got to show results so that when people see their return on or their statement, to see, well, yeah, this is growing in value.
Yeah.
I mean, we want to certainly keep doing that. But I think that for the most part, we just kind of business as usual. We continue with our culture of inclusiveness, and I think it just kind of carries its own.
What are some of the things that you've been able to do to chart the future a little bit more, with a little bit more clarity, I suppose? Now that you have so many, you're essentially answering to every employee now as a company. They all answer to each other in a way. What are some of the ways in which you've been able to sort of chart the future a little bit more clearly for Odell?
Chart the future is a.
Yep.
Well,
Just thinking about growth and introducing new products and kind of where you want to be in the next phase of development for the brewery.
oh, sure. Well, that's kind of an ongoing process, as everybody is aware of. And so, we have another committee where we call it the product development team.
Okay.
And, that's kind of the beginning of when we think about new products. We plan ahead 2 years out. And there's about 8 or 10 of us on that committee. So it's just, once again, within our structure where we ask our people to help form the direction of our future.
And how has your particular role changed at the brewery over the last few years as ESOP has sort of become kind of more embedded in the business overall? Do you find yourself kind of focusing more on just very specific things, or are you going broader?
Well, really, before and after, there really hasn't been any change. We recognized early on that a collaborative culture does not involve, a 10-person company with one person making all the decisions like I was in the early days.
Yeah.
And so I gradually removed myself from day-to-day responsibilities, both because it was getting to be too much, and also that in recognizing the talents of others, I knew that all these other people could do a better job than me in most of these areas. And so now I focus more on kind of representing our brewery outside its walls, strategic planning and initiatives, and I still really like being engaged in large equipment purchases. Like
That's always fun.
Yeah, last year when we replaced our keg line and also installed our new can line. That was a lot of planning and effort. I find that stuff fascinating.
Do you feel like the business is kind of come into its final sort of instance, or do you feel like there's still a lot of big kind of organic growth ahead of you that you want to do new things and try new things, or does it kind of feel like the brewery you've always wanted now?
Well, it's awfully close, I suppose, but it's always a work in progress. And one of our mottos that actually our QA/QC manager came up with is always be better.
Okay.
And so every day, always be better. So that's kind of what we've adopted. And with a teamwork environment, that's a good thing to work for every day, is what can we do better today than yesterday? And that really helps the inclusiveness as well.
Do you have any advice out there for anybody else who might be considering ESOP as a potential future for their business ownership?
I think you have to make sure it's right for you, and are you financially able to absorb the costs of the administration? For a number of years, when we looked at it, we say we're just not big enough to be able to pull this off. I think you also have to look at where you want the future direction of your company to go. Are you looking to just kind of cash out at some point? Do you want to pass some percentage or all on to your coworkers? Is it some sort of exit strategy for your investors? Can it be that way? I think that's a reason that some people do it. Although I can say that you're never going to maximize your sale price by selling shares to an ESOP. So
for sure.
You have to have better motivation than just that.
Yeah, makes sense. Doug, thank you so much for talking with us today. That was really great.
Sure. Thanks, Michael.
Have a great day.